Today's episode is a special one. I'm joined by Tim Thomas, a breathwork and sleep specialist. And this conversation is for anyone who's ever felt exhausted, yet unable to truly rest. Tim Thomas is a former Australian Special Forces commando turned breathwork and sleep specialist. After navigating his own recovery from trauma, burnout, pharmaceutical and alcohol addiction, Tim now works with veterans, leaders, and everyday humans to improve sleep, regulate the nervous system, and reconnect people with their inner resilience. He's also the founder of the Breathwork in Bed app and is passionate about making simple, practical tools available to help people sleep better and live with more clarity, energy, and purpose. Tim, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to be here.
And for the first question, I'd like to ask what drew you to see sleep not just as rest, but as a doorway to healing and strength?
That's a good question, Clara, because I didn't go towards it. I tried to go away from it to start with. So in a former life, I had a job in the Special Forces that tried to find all the people that could do without sleep. Was one of them, and we would pride ourselves on how hard we could work without accessing any sleep. Part of the selection process is 3 days, 3 nights, no sleep, no food, and you're just carrying heavy stuff the whole time. And I noticed that you could do that for a short period of time. You could cash in your tomorrows to live today. But about the 4-year mark, all the guys in the unit would get this very far away look in their eye. Some people call it the 1,000-mile stare. And I realized it just doesn't work in the long term to ignore that part of yourself. And it became really obvious. So on deployment in Afghanistan, we used to deliberately try and off-center the enemy, meaning you find the things that would make the biggest impact and attack those. And it would simply be ensuring that they didn't get good sleep every night. Because we didn't know about the science of sleep, but we knew if we could take sleep out for 3 nights, it would mess them up better than a bullet. And yet there was no attention given to, quality sleep in our own world. And when I came back to the civilian world, it didn't seem to be too far different, where I'll sleep when I'm dead. I got 2 hours sleep last night. I had a coffee this morning. What's your excuse? So there seems to be this cultural acceptance of poor quality sleep. So I was very much forced in my own life to realize that, the awareness of, if you want to really destroy someone, destroy their sleep.
It's kind of ironic because you're being sleep deprived yourself, and then you're trying to make your enemy sleep deprived. There's kind of a real disconnect there.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah, it's really, really strange. It sounds very tough.
But from that environment, certain realities came that I could not ignore, no matter how tough I was, no matter how much of a different reality I wanted to create in my head. And, so now I say, if you care about somebody, you'll care about how they sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously discovered breathwork during your military service rather than in a wellness setting. So how did that shape your understanding of the power of breath work?
It's a funny thing when you're completely fatigued yourself, and it's interesting how your body guides you sometimes if you let it. And I didn't know breath work was a thing, but the military teaches you a type of breath work. So if you're taking a sight picture, you take a deep breath in, let it out, and then everything becomes still for a second, and you can take a better sight picture. But when I was I was beyond fatigued, and I felt like I was going to die. And there was a part of me that says, Tim, it's like you've only got 2 cents worth of energy. What's the point? And then a bit later on, it said, well, if you've only got 2 cents worth of energy, you better invest that energy wisely. So we never got anything that you'd call sleep, but every now and then we could lay horizontal in the dirt. And instead of just trying to close my eyes and rest, I thought, well, I'll invest that 2 cents worth of energy into breathing. And I didn't know anything about breath work, but I pictured like a little hole in the tip of my thumb, and I breathed into the tip of my thumb, like really sucked it in. And I pictured air going down my thumb, and eventually in my mind's eye, my thumb turned white, like white light. And then I pulled it into my pointer finger. And then at that point, I would go to sleep really deeply. And whatever time I got asleep, it was high quality. And I went to sleep with 2 cents worth of energy, and I woke up with 20 cents. I'm like, that's an interesting pattern. I don't know what's going on, but I seem to be getting more out than what I'm putting in. So the next time I got horizontal, I spent 20 cents, thumb, finger, index finger. And then I'd go to sleep. And eventually I got to a point where I kept on reinvesting. 20 cents became $2, $2 became $20, where I could pull this breath into every part of me. And I started waking up, and I'm like, whoa, I feel like I'm back. And so out of that abundance, I started doing a little bit of extra exercise, some stretches, some push-ups, lifting an ammo tin. And it's interesting how our awareness is relative to our energy levels. When I had 2 cents worth of energy, it's all about, I'm having a bad day. I couldn't think of anyone else. But the more energy I got, the more aware I became of what was around me. And I realized that I became aware of the people that were around me, the people in my team. And I thought, well, if it doesn't matter how good a day I'm having, if they're having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. And even if I'm being completely selfish right now, my survivability goes up if they're functioning better, if they're stronger people. So it makes a lot of sense for me to build up those people around me. And there was a bunch of stuff that I didn't like going on, like, my boss would chew me out for no reason as I saw it. But I thought, no, I've got to be above this and ensure that people get what they need around me. And I've got to do it from a position of strength myself. And so I just started to understand that this little formula that energy was like money. How you invest it is how you get it back. And I noticed every dollar I invested, and it was a little bit of effort. It was harder than just, I'm just going to go to sleep because I'm so exhausted. I had to focus on, this kind of breathing. But whatever I invested in it, I got so much back, and it led me down this path of eventually getting to the point where how can I build up those around me? And I'm pretty thick-skinned. I was thick enough I had to go to Afghanistan and be in a war zone to realize when the person next to me is stronger, I'm stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
That's important to know, that's like a life-saving grace in a battle situation.
Well, I had to go to that extreme to see it clearly, but now it's in my DNA. So now, as I'm, moving around in the world,
Yeah.
I don't need to be in a battle zone to realize that, people around me, it's very important to be aware of them and also, I guess what I'm trying to say here is over there, I realized there was a difference between servanthood and servitude.
Right.
Being being in servanthood is being of service to others and doing it from a position of strength and abundance. Servitude means that you're lower than somebody else, and that was a clear distinction I really picked up on, over there, and now I'm sort of integrating it more and more into the world outside the military.
Yeah. Well, many people in my community struggle with sleep despite doing all the right things. Why do you think sleep can feel so elusive for caring, capable people?
Yeah. Firstly, I really hear you. There's when people care for others, often it's hard to sort of put that care down at the end of the day and switch into, well, I've got to care for myself because you're so sort of externally focused.
Right.
And sometimes caring people overfunction, if you can sort of
Yes.
picture that. And
Agree.
Yeah, so go on.
I totally agree with that one.
Um, and living responsibly for others often means you're somewhat vigilant of others too. Just like in the military, I had to be vigilant of the perimeter, sorry. And I had to be vigilant. And I felt that if I dropped my guard for a second, something bad was going to happen. People who care for others, that responsibility they feel comes with a certain vigilance. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It's a really good connection. It's a
And
good skill that you learnt somewhere extreme that you brought back to your everyday life and applied it to the people in your orbit.
and look, caring people, their nervous system is brilliant at looking after others, but it often forgets how to stand down at night, and switch into the mode of, well, this is my charge point. And when I'm talking with high school students, I'll say, what would happen if you had a phone and never charged it? It would never function. But humans tend to go onto this. When the phone is like 3 or 4% left and it goes into this power saver mode.
Yeah.
And in that power saver mode, it's still functioning, but it can't reach its all the all the tools that it has on the phone. And what happens is, if we are in this power saver mode for a period of time, we just think it's normal, and so many other people are doing it. So many other people are using, coffee and energy drinks to try and find that higher ability or the ability to do what they want to do in the world. But I put it to people, consider the possibility that if you had banked wonderful quality restorative sleep and you were functioning at 100%, there's not a thing you couldn't handle. The things that were hard become easy.
Yeah.
And that is my stand for people. I want them functioning at 100%. I want them flourishing. Sleep is the base, but sleep is the soil from which everything grows. And it's those seeds of uniqueness and greatness that grow and flourish after the good night's sleep that gets me super excited. So as much as I'm about sleep, the thing that gets me excited is seeing what happens as a result of that, especially in people who have that kind and caring heart, because the things that they can generate in the world when they're at 100%, oh my gosh, it's just incredible. Um, so I can't do what other people do, and I've just noticed that if I can simply help them sleep better, and I know that's easier said than done, then all of a sudden all these other things start happening. Um,
Well, I have to admit that I tried your app and it worked really, really well for me. And it was so different from all of the breath work I've done for sleep, in that it was very, very fast breaths. And I thought there's no possible way that I'm ever going to get to sleep using this method at all. I just was completely skeptical, kind of thought, oh, ha ha, this isn't going to work. Next thing I knew, I was out like a light, and I didn't wake up at all. So I'm living proof that your app is amazing. So it's just kind of interesting to me how you came up with that breath work, that particular kind of breath work, and realized that it could help people sleep, because usually that kind of breath work is something that I would normally associate with something like Kundalini, which is more of an energetic kind of breath work. And I just am kind of blown away by using the word blown away, kind of funnily here, but I was blown away by how amazing it was. And I wondered how you came up with that idea, because it's really kind of out there.
well, firstly, I am so glad to hear that you are getting restful, peaceful night's sleep. That's so good. And you were probably prepared for that in some way. So it's not just, breath work that the guided breath work is, in the app, I talk about how to position your body correctly. Things like pillows aren't actually for behind your head. They're actually for underneath your knees.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people know that, because if someone grabbed the back of your head and pushed it forward, imagine trying to breathe in. It sort of compresses your chest. So having, pillows underneath your knees allows those internal organs to open, allows that chest to open. And if you can, and I know it's not a problem where you are because you're in a very cold place, we go to sleep once our body temperature drops. So exposing as much of your skin to the night air to allow that temperature drop on your skin, that's another little biohack that it's not just the breath work that you get guided into, it's how to position yourself to be receptive in the best possible way for your body to do its natural regenerative processes. I'm sorry, I was lost in the fact that I was really happy that you're sleeping well. Could you just re-presence me to the question?
Yeah, I just wondered how you came up with the idea of the fast breath work, because it's not a typical thing that people normally associate with going to sleep, but it's extremely effective.
Yes. Okay. So, and it's not fast breath work over a long duration. It's a short duration with a few small pauses. So I want to separate that. So if anyone's listening in this space and they're into breath work, I'm not doing holotropic breath work or that trauma release stuff. What I'm doing and what I've discovered is that the breath outranks the thinking mind. And it's our thinking mind that stops us from going to sleep, because we're hanging on to conscious thought. It wants to stay conscious. And I've created medicinal doses of breath work to alkalize the neural pathway. So this is a chemical override. Now, meditation is great, but sometimes my interpretation is it's thoughts controlling thoughts. And if you've got a train wreck going on up here, it's really hard to do that. But what I found with breath work done in the right medicinal way, it's like going to the side of the house and pulling out the fuse box. It just shuts everything down. It's a manual override, and it's so consistent. But to your question on how I discovered this, I discovered it in Afghanistan, but then I proved its value when I was going through my divorce, COVID divorce. And here's what I need to speak to, and this somewhat answers the question why caring people, capable people struggle to go to sleep. What I discovered is your mind's like a garden. Whatever your water grows. And in my state of stress, divorced, lost house, home, money, regular access to kids, you can bet at 2 a.m. I wasn't sleeping very well. And the irony was I knew about breathwork. And I knew it would bring me peace. But because I was watering these stress weeds and these stress weeds had taken over the garden, what I've observed is they don't just take over your mind garden. It's like they grow eyeballs and become sentient. They become aware of the things that you do and the state that your body in that feeds them. And they become very aware of the things that you do that your body does that would starve them. And they don't want to be starved and they want to be fed. So they were loving the fact that I was ruminating on bad thoughts. I had tension through my body, and it was like I was locked down into this state, though. Even though I knew breath work would help me, it's like I couldn't. And I get up and I'm about to do pills, alcohol, self-harm. I'm in a state. Worse war zone than Afghanistan.
No.
And I looked at my left thumb and I said, Tim, you can take one breath, take one effing breath. And I drove it into my chest and I went, and it was like taking the first breath coming out the bottom of the ocean. I'm like, whoa, this is working. Take two. I took 2 fingers and I drove them into my chest. Okay, this is working. Keep doing. Do three. I put 3 fingers in, get to 5, and breath after breath, finger after finger, somewhere, Clara, between breath 15 and breath 20, the chemical override happened and those stress weeds got kicked out. And the rest of my brain was like, thank goodness you did that, Tim. This is working. Keep doing it, And I'm like, oh my gosh, this works. Like, this is like the worst thing ever. And this works. But, and the irony here, and this is why it sort of set me on this path of, well, if this works, how do we make it, how do we keep it working consistently? Because breath work is everyone does it. and it's a very old habit.
Not everyone, but people who know the value of it.
Yes, but what I meant to say, I should have been clear. Everyone breathes.
Yes.
But no one has to have their breath work for them, right?
Right. Yeah. People aren't using it as the way it can be used.
Correct. And so what I noticed was, because it's such an old habit, I needed to be prompted to do it properly, especially when I needed it the most. And so I made these stupid recordings with my own voice to say, hey, Tim, breathe in, breathe out. And I'm like, and there's an ancient army saying, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid, right? And it just kept working. Oh my gosh. And I started, giving it to my friends. And then I thought, well, this stuff turns my bed into a cloud going to sleep. Well, when I wake up in the morning, and I got a lot of chronic pain, and I often wake up in chronic pain, and I noticed that if I went to sleep with proper breath work, my pain scales were much less waking up. But I thought, I think I could make it better. And I feel like I could get out of bed feeling better if I did breath work before I even got out of bed. So how about I have breath work to help turn the bed into a bit of a trampoline to give me some momentum? And so I started making 2 different tracks on my phone, and I noticed that in the morning especially, that's when my mind was open to, often negative thoughts. And so I didn't just have breath work in there. I didn't just have, little massage points that help remove the stuck energy. I had some, positive affirmations, saying positive things as I'm looking in the mirror. And there was such a part of me saying, this is so stupid, talking to yourself in the mirror. But I honestly couldn't ignore the powerful shift that happens. And I'm like, this I can't ignore the power here, I don't, and I want to access it. So the morning routines isn't just a breath and body activation. There's an offering of, saying these positive affirmations to put in your head all the things that you truly want to have in your head as well. So
Can, can,
once,
can you give me an example of a positive affirmation that you use after you've
sure,
done your breath work?
I'll give you my absolute favorite,
Okay.
and it's such a shift. And it's said 3 times. All things are working for my benefit. All things are working out for my benefit. Everything in my life is working out for my benefit. And I just can't tell you how many times it's just flipped the script, you know, because there are things that can happen that can be perceived as negative, but they're actually there to work out for your benefit. And to be told that and have that seen for what it is, I just noticed if I didn't flip the script early in the morning, those kind of crappy thoughts would follow me around for the day. Uh, and so that it's one thing to create the energy and light in your body, but then to have your mind access that same space, I think uh, goes hand in hand.
Yeah, it does. So you intentionally designed your app to be simple. Why is simplicity so important when people are so already overwhelmed?
Well, you said it well. People are already overwhelmed. They don't have time. And the reason why people are fatigued is that they're doing the best they can, you know, and they don't have time to do extra stuff. They just kind of want to say, look, here's what I want, take care of it for me. And have you ever had something wrong with your computer? You can't figure it out, but then the IT guy comes along and before he fixes it, he goes, oh, here's your problem. And they start going, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, can I just shut up and fix it? I don't want to know. I just want the solution so I can do what I'm doing, right? People want to live their lives and they want a good night's sleep and they don't want to have to get into the science of it or figure it out. That might happen later on, but in the moment, they just look, here's what I want, take care of it for me. And that's how I've sculptured this. All you have to do once you go in is just tell it when you want to sleep, when you want to wake up. We take care of the rest, and then it just falls out of your phone with notifications. And when I see a notification, it's so easy. I just tap the button and listen to it. If I didn't have that reminder, I probably wouldn't do it. So especially in the mornings. So to have that ease of access is the key to giving people the experience they want to have.
Yeah, and keeping it really simple.
Yeah.
Because there are so many choices, too many choices.
Yep.
So, can you speak about breath as an investment rather than an effort? Can you explain that idea?
Yeah. So I touched on this earlier. Think of your energy like money. How you invest it is how you get it back. And just simply observe what sort of return you get from doing your breath work. And you'll be very surprised at the totality of the experience. You don't just feel good in the moment. You're literally putting anti-inflammation through your system. you're creating, the peace that we often look for outside of ourselves, inside of ourselves. Isn't that convenient? No, not having to chase these things, discovering it's already inside of you.
Yeah.
Um, you look like you're about to share something then, Clara. What was that?
Well, I just loved a couple of days ago you sent me a video of you outside in the outback where you live, walking in the forest, and you showed me an exercise that you do while you're out walking. So I know you practice your breath work all the time. It doesn't matter if you're trying to go to sleep or if you're waking up. And it was so lovely because I'm going to share about your video. So you're walking out with your dog through this beautiful, it looked like they were eucalyptus trees, maybe. I could be wrong. Am I right? Okay. And you showed me this breath work where you you reached your hand out to the tree and you took an inhale in. And then you took an inhale out with your hand, like, going out. And you did it several times. And then it was amazing. It was like the tree responded back to you and I could hear it breathing with you. It was very, very moving for me. I loved that. And so I just wanted to honor you with your breath work and just to say that you practice it not only in your life and your app and sharing it with everybody, but it's something that you live. And I really respect that.
Thank you for that acknowledgement, Clara. As I'm talking to you, I can see a nice poster of a tree behind you. And I invite people, if you're watching this on video, what Clara was talking about is any tree, you hold your hand up to it, and as you breathe in, you open your hand, like really open it, like the tree branches, and when you exhale, close your hand. And you open and close your hand and you start seeing it. Well, for me, I start seeing patterns. Firstly, we're breathing in and it almost looks like tree branches, right? But on a deeper scale, as I breathe in, I am opening the tree branches that are inside my lungs, because our lungs are a literal mirror representation of what that tree is and what that tree is doing. And when I'm out with my daughter, I will say, well, what would happen if that tree only had a quarter of its leaves in the sun? What would happen? And she says, probably won't grow that much. And I say, yeah, and the leaves are the places of energetic exchange. And so when we breathe fully, we put our branches in the sun. So every time, my daughter's name's Jody, I said, every time you see a tree, Jody, I want you to see that that's nature telling you to take a deep breath in, put your branches in the sun, get the best energetic exchange you can. Yeah.
I really like that. It was very sweet. So if someone's listening tonight and could take away one thing from you to help them sleep more peacefully, what would you want them to remember?
I would love to give them a little technique, if that's okay, because it's great to talk about this. I've really enjoyed this conversation, but I love to have permanency about what I do. So I think if we care about people, we've got to care about them tomorrow, next week, next year. So I'd love to give them a little thing that they can use anytime, anywhere. And once they've got this for the rest of their life. And who knows, it might be something that could help someone else too. So I would love to give you and your audience a little thing that can completely relax your body in just 3 breaths.
Okay, sounds perfect.
And everything I do, Clara, is by invitation. And it's really important to do that with breathwork, because breathwork has the ability to completely change your state. You go from one state to another. But do you remember how I said, when I was watering the stress weeds in my life, they kind of had me locked into a certain state? So, so I asked three very simple permission questions to allow us to receive our own energy, and get the most from it, and allow ourselves to move into a more relaxed, more open, more powerful, peaceful state. And they're very simple questions, and I'll ask them to you, Clara. Do you give permission to your own breath to fully nourish every part of your physical body?
Yes.
Awesome. That was easy.
Yeah.
Second one is, do you give permission to your own breath to fully nourish your conscious thinking mind?
Yes.
Nice. I like how you were pondering and accessing that. I love it. And the last one, just as easy, do you give permission to your very own breath to fully nourish your unconscious mind?
I do, but sometimes my unconscious mind has a mind of its own. So I do, but, there's the other part that I can't control, but I give permission.
Fantastic. And look, this is just an observation, allow ourselves to observe what's receiving, what's resisting, and yeah, no judgment. The second we make something right or wrong, is the second we sort of get stuck. So I always just work with, there's what works, there's what doesn't work. And we're gonna work with the parts of our breath that works, and we're gonna let it in, as much as we can. So all we're gonna do is start with an exhale and then just breathe in. Okay? So everyone just breathe out much as you can, and then just breathe in. And let that go. Fantastic. Now, that was a conscious breath. You're simply aware of your inhale and your exhale. Mental health for me isn't a mental problem. It's a physical disconnect problem. When we're so focused out there, we disconnect from our bodies and we disconnect from our breath. This is the charge point. This is where we get our power from. When we're out there, we're disconnected. And if you saw someone going, that would, everyone kind of knows that they're in a state of panic, a state of,
Right.
They're so discombobulated, they're disconnected from their body, and the body's saying, come back here. What are you doing? So what I'm going to do now is invite people to exhale, breathe in, but then breathe in more. Okay? So I invite people, when they exhale, blow it out and shake your body. Blow it out, shake it out. Blow it out, shake it out. Out. And when you're all the way out, start breathing in. Breathe in more. Now hold that and just wriggle your shoulders. Wriggle your shoulders. Feel that chest opening up. Wriggle the spine. Wriggle. And if it feels good, let it out with a big sigh. And just let your own energy wash through your system. This is your energy. Let it go through your body, your mind, your unconscious mind. And just feel what one breath can do.
That felt really good.
Oh, you wait for this next bit.
Okay.
I'm excited to show you this. So my joy, Clara, is showing people just how amazing we were made. We all own bodies, but it's like we just don't know how amazing they are. Now, what you probably didn't know, and this will blow you away, is in our 2 fingers and thumbs, we have a power button. Okay? So what we're going to do is when we breathe in, I want you to exhale, and halfway through your inhale, I want you to push those power buttons down and look up. And you might notice on the last time you inhale, when you breathed in more, and like this top third opened up. I want you to use those power buttons to access that top third. So when my hands are up here, but if
Like
normally
this.
they're, no, two fingers and thumbs. Yeah, it's like you're trying to pinch something. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to halfway through the inhale, hit those power buttons, look up and kind of lean back a little bit to give access to this top third. Okay.
Okay.
And we're going to do just like we did, give it a nice big shake, open everything up. And if you can, let it out with a nice big sigh. If you feel like yawning, cover your mouth and go, ooh. That one's really good if you really want to, but it's completely up to your discretion. So just have your power buttons ready. Blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, 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 out. And then when you're all the way at the bottom, mouth closed, start breathing in. And then hit those power buttons, open, 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 open. And then hold it, wriggle, 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 wriggle. Feel that tension wriggling out. And then when you feel ready, you can let it out with a big sigh or a big yawn. Yeah. And again, just
Ooh,
let that sovereign energy wash
I really
through
felt
your.
it. Woo!
Yeah.
Feels all warm in my chest.
Yes. And this here is how we change our state. Okay. I actually call this breath the breath of possibility. And I'll explain why it's so powerful. Because have you ever noticed, if you look at my structure, if I'm feeling like the weight of the world is on my shoulders, I don't know it, but I'm crushing this top third. And I'm not just doing that. The reason why you get more energy from this is because not just through the oxygen exchange, but we're an electrical circuit and the brain's the generator, and we have all these cables running from our brain into our bodies. But these cables aren't solid. They're kind of squishy, like a garden hose. So imagine if you stepped on your garden hose, there wouldn't be much water coming through. And that's kind of how it works with our electrical currency. When we're hunched over, when we've got poor posture, that steps on our power cables, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like
And
it's like compressed.
yes,
You're compressed.
yeah, and that's where pain comes from. Our nerves get compressed. And so when we, hit those power buttons and breathe in properly, proper breath gives you proper alignment, and proper alignment gives you real-time power. I just want to sort of tangent slowly to something that'll make a lot of sense. When I work with the British Special Forces, they found that every degree your structure was out of alignment, you lost between 8 and 12% strength.
Wow.
Okay, so let's say conceivably you could carry 100 kilos on your shoulders. If you're 1 degree out, your maximum could only be 88 to 92 kilos. So consider the possibility that these little power buttons, when you give yourself that nice, wonderful oxygen loving boost, you're becoming physically stronger by potentially minimally 8 to 12%.
That's amazing. I really didn't know that. So how often do you practice that in your life every day?
So I'm wanting to share this with you and everyone listening because I use this as my kicking around. Like if something's bothering me, and good energy doesn't mean that you're never going to be bothered or peed off or upset or off-centered, but the speed at which you come back to your center, how long you feel low or how destructive you are, is very much reduced. So you can call these your power buttons or your medicine buttons, and I will notice that if something's annoying me, I know to breathe, but if I can hold it, shake it, okay, I'm back into here. I'm back to where my power lives. So I practice it in my own time, but then when I'm out in the in the real world, and something, I feel myself feeling off centered, or something's bothering me, or I'm getting, annoyed, I will have that there. I'll have that little pinch, and that little pinch is my recenter button. And this is where you can start using this. Now, I do want to juice this up even more for you, if that's okay.
Of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
So I
More,
call that one. Sorry, God.
more.
Sure. And this is so cool, because it's your body. You've had it your whole life, and it's, once you have this control of your own peace and power, you look for it less outside of you. And this is what I want. I tend to think that the economy we're currently in is an economy of dysfunction. Certain parts make money because we're not functioning properly, and we depend on external sources for things that we could otherwise give ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So being in control of your own state, super powerful gift to give yourself and people you care about. So what I'm going to do is, if you look at my nose here, behind my nose is sinuses. And before I was in the Special Forces, I used to be a professional fighter. And my coach would say, Tim, before you do a combination, do a big snort through the nose, because in his mind, it sent air over the sinuses straight into the brain. Now, I don't know if that was based in science or not, but it worked in combat, and it does speak to something that a lot of people don't know. And I'm giving you a lot of information right now, but it's so important to know this, because if we can't do this for ourselves, it will get exploited very economically. So there's a certain gas our body produces that only gets produced when we breathe through our nose. It doesn't get produced when we mouth breathe. And this particular gas improves mood, brain function, immune system, physical performance, physical recovery, circulation. And if you went to a chemist, Clara, and said, hey, give me some pills to help my mood, help my brain, help my physical performance, help me sleep, how much do you think you'd be paying?
Well, in this country, in the US, probably a lot, because drugs cost a lot here.
Yeah. Okay. And the drug that I'm talking about is nitric oxide. They used to give it to athletes to help them perform, but then it had all these other effects they didn't anticipate. So, and I want to keep this clean, but understand that athletes were given nitric oxide, but then they said, look, this is really helping with sexual function. And so now Viagra has a lot of nitric oxide in it, because it has this effect on your body. And our nose naturally produces nitric oxide, and it helps so many things in our body, but so many people don't know that we can produce it for ourselves.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
I know.
Who
And
would
once you know
think?
this stuff, who'd have thunk it? But what's even more amazing is nitric oxide uptake is increased by like 2,000% when we hum through our nose, because that creates a vibration that increases the nitric oxide uptake.
Wow.
Yeah. So what we're going to do right now
Okay.
is we're going to naturally, I'll coach you through the whole thing. We'll do this a few times so you can get the feel for it. Is we're going to do exactly what we did before, but the inhale, I want you to speed it up a bit. And this one, I encourage, I mean, every breathwork technique needs to be done in a safe environment. And that breath of possibility, rapid inhale through the nose, can be done pretty much anywhere. But just be mindful. You probably don't want to do it, driving or
No.
cutting up carrots or something, right?
Yeah.
But this next one that I'm going to show you, I call this one the breath of peace. And this one, you do need to be ideally seated, okay? Because it's super powerful, and you can kind of drift if you really get into this. So
I better not get into it too much, because what will the interview go? What will happen?
Well, Clara, you're just going to be in a super relaxed state, and look, it's peace that we're moving into here. So it's a gentleness that we need to have on ourselves and each other.
I know. I'm just kidding you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I thought you were flagging a concern, but no,
No.
you got me. You got me.
No, I was just worried that I'd get into such a peaceful state that this interview would just go on forever.
Well, that wouldn't be a bad thing.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you got me. So all we're going to do right now is exactly what we did before, breathing in, but I want you to double the speed of your inhales, like really let your nostrils flare. I kind of look funny when I'm flaring my nostrils, but when we breathe in, I want you to flare and try and, like you deliberately suck air rapidly over your nose and kind of look up. We're going to hold it, shake it, but then we're going to collapse everything forward. We're going to put our hands in our belly, and the air is going to go from our upper body down to our lower body.
Okay,
Hands on
show
the
me
belly.
one first.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm gonna sit back a little bit so you can see everything.
Okay.
Okay. So
I can't
blow
see
it
your
out, shake
head.
it out. Yeah. I'll go on the side.
All right. Yeah, that's better.
Blow it out, shake it out. Blow it out, shake it out. Have my power buttons ready. They're down, sort of off screen. And then when I'm ready, I'm gonna go wriggle, 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 wriggle. I'm going to wriggle it down low, down low, down low. My hands are going to be on my belly. My hands are going to be on my belly. And then when I feel ready, I'm going to hum through my nose while I'm pushing it down low, humming it out. And then just letting that wash through my system.
Okay.
Because the reason why this is, super peaceful is your bottom third. Divide your lungs into thirds. Breath of possibility, breath of peace, because this is where all the most blood sits around your air sacs in your lungs, which are called alveoli. So this is why humming through your nose, pushing it down low, sets up such a very pleasant state. Yeah.
Okay.
So and you can't get this wrong. There's no wrong way to do this. And we're going to do this 3 times. Each time it's going to be more relaxing, more peaceful, more reconnecting.
I'm gonna have to watch you.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to watch you when you do it.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'll move back a little bit, and we can. So blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, 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 out. And when you're all the way out with your power buttons ready, rapidly breathe in and look up, really quick. Open now. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Feel that chest opening. Feel that chest opening. Put your hands on your belly, hands on your belly. Let your head relax forward. Let your head relax forward. Head relax forward, forward, forward. And then when you push it down low, start humming when you're ready. For as long as possible. All the way out, all the way out, all the way out. And then just let that wash through your system. And
wow.
Yeah.
I noticed that. Very
And
cool.
We're going to just so you can see how cool it can get. Each time we breathe, I've never found a depth or a height to this experience. So we're just going to do this 2 more times, and just notice every time you do it, your body's like, oh, that felt good. More, please. So you okay to do this 2 more times?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Just coach me through it because I'm a newbie.
Perfect. So blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, 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 out. Just have your power buttons ready. Have your power buttons ready. And then when you're ready, hit those power buttons, rapid inhale through the nose, looking up, leaning back, breathe in more, 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 more. And just hold it and wriggle, hold it and wriggle, hold it and wriggle. Let your head fall forward, let your head fall forward. Put your hands on your belly, hands on your belly. Feel like there's a balloon and you're sort of pushing that balloon to the floor. And then when you're ready, hum it out as long as possible. Perfect. So good. And again, let that sovereign energy wash through your system, nourishing all parts of you. And on this last one, I just
I can really
encourage you
feel it going through my arms and all through my body. It's really wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to do it just one more time, and
Okay.
it'll start going even, deeper into the system, and it'll be even, more received in all those different parts. So power button's ready. Blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, 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 out. The more you exhale, the more you can sort of get rid of that stuck energy. And when you're all the way out, hit those power buttons, raise your nose, raise your chest, really quick inhale. Just hold it, wriggle, 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 and then start relaxing your body so your head falls forward, hand on your belly, head forward, hand on your belly. Let everything relax. And as you hum for as long as possible, relaxing your shoulders, your neck, your back, your arms, your face. Just let everything relax. Picture your body's like a inflatable toy, deflating, all the tension's leaving. And I invite you to keep your eyes closed and just sit in your chair and let your chair support you. Let the chair support you. Sit relaxed in your chair, eyes closed. And know that that chair was built to hold you. Feel the muscles touching the chair, supporting you. And feel what it is to be supported. Feel what it is to be held. And this is the wonderful permission our breath gives us. This experience is not to be rushed. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. Because what you're experiencing right now, people have taken all sorts of substances, have traveled countries to have what you have right now. And it's literally a breath away. And when you do feel the need to come back in the room, just wriggle your fingers and toes, wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. I invite you to grab your hands and rub them together. Generate a bit of energy. Now start flicking your fingers, flick, flick, flick. Flick them as fast as you can, and then hold an energy ball. Feel that energy ball like that. Can you feel that energy ball? That's your positive energy. Okay. Now I want you to take a deep breath in and make it even bigger. Wow. All right. Awesome. So now what we can do is exhale and then breathe it in and push it into our chest. Okay. Exhale and push it into your chest. Hold it, wriggle it around the place, and give it a good shake.
Wow. Thank you so much, Tim, for that magical breath work that I was able to give, you were able to give everybody on your Sleep Guru show. I mean, wow. I really, really feel energized in a very, very positive way from that. No joke. It was really real.
Yeah.
Really very special.
Believing. Yeah. And I'm so glad you've got that now for life. The future looks very different knowing that we can access these states within a breath. I mean, that was just 3 breaths.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But very powerful breaths.
Well, consider the possibility they were the first 3 full breaths you've taken, 3 proper breaths you've taken. And just amazing how rapid, natural, and immediate the impact of proper breathing is.
Yeah, it's so important. So, Tim, thank you. It's been really wonderful and, like I said, magical in many ways. And I know many listeners will feel supported by you and what you shared, not just with your information, but with something deeper. Permission to slow down, permission to breathe and return to your body. And for anyone who wants to explore Tim's work further, I'll include links to the Breathwork in Bed app in my episode notes. And as always, thank you very much for listening to Your Sleep Guru. And if this episode helped you, the simplest way to support the podcast is to follow, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs better rest. Thank you so much, Tim.
It was wonderful having this experience with you. And for those of you who were listening, I want to acknowledge you for taking that on, and you know, you're living in the space that you created for yourself.
And it all starts with you, your peacefulness, your mindfulness, your breath. It all starts with you.
Yes.
And then it expands.
Nobody is going to do this for you. This is
Right.
This is for us to do it for ourselves, and then just get ready for what happens next.
Yes. Well, thank you, Tim, and have a good rest of your day. I know it's early over there in Australia.
No worries.